Hola, welcome back to Crossing Cultures with Christina Luna, one more week with all of you. And this week I'm so excited to bring you a guest that has been there other times, but with a different role, Brian Crawford. Well, let's welcome Brian Crawford. I'm so happy to have you here, Brian. Welcome again, because this is about people's stories and what they can bring to you. And Brian, he has multi-talents and certificates. He's a coach in etiquette, so we had him for our Thanksgiving tips, like how to make the best when you're entertaining. We'll have him in other areas too, but today we're going to have him as a healer, as a therapist in hypnosis, but not whatever hypnosis as you think, a different kind of hypnosis. And I've done it. So while he talks, I'll share my experience with you. This transformed my life. So thank you, Brian.
Thank you. What an honor. Beautiful to be on your show. It's always a pleasure. You're so beautiful. You bright light radiate.
You helped that. You helped me with that. And you healed me in many, many, many ways. But let's start it first. Brian, what is multicultural in your life? How do you cross cultures?
Well, Christina, we're going to cross cultures today in a way that your listeners haven't experienced yet. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
We're going to go. So when we do in hypnosis therapy, I relax people to their subconscious state. It's a state that everybody possesses naturally. When you're dreaming, you do it, or when you daydream, you do it. And basically, you get to find out things about yourself that you never knew. So what if I told you that you have had many lives, not just Christina Luna, but you've been other people? What would you say?
I say it's true because it has happened when I was doing the therapy with you. But let's start with it. This is not any therapy, any hypnosis. It's called Quantum Heal Hypnosis Technique. Did I say it right?
Yep, quantum healing hypnosis technique. So you've crossed cultures in a million different ways because every time you have a different life, you live a different culture. So we've been women, we've been men, we've been Asian, we've been American natives, we've been a Scandinavian, we've been Eskimos, we've been everything. You get to be everything. So you're in this life is what you experience now, but your intuition holds the memory of every place you've ever been. So sometimes if you went back to France and you said, this feels familiar, there's a reason.
Yeah, it's like when
Talk
you
about
feel like,
crossing cultures, right?
yeah, or like when you feel that you have been somewhere, they like déjà vu, they say that. And in French means like already seen. I already lived that experience, right? And technically you've never been in that
Yeah,
place or you've never met that person, right? But it feels real. So, but tell us, how is
right,
it different
right.
from a regular hypnosis?
So what's different about it is it takes very short amount of time to relax somebody. It's a very easy, relaxing thing. So Christina, I meet with my clients for 2 hours. We have a nice long conversation. It's a spa day for your soul. You get to just talk about yourself. It's so cathartic. But then we do this quantum healing piece, which is this really short little conversation, which makes you relax. And that's what's different about it. And then once you're relaxed, we can explore the universe for all sorts of answers and healing, emotional healing, physical healing, or just exploration on past lives or anything you want to know. It's transformative.
It's transformative. And I will tell you my story in a little bit. But tell us, how did you get into that?
Well, nature has a way of keeping us on the path. The universe always makes us follow our path. So I had a long corporate career and I never, had thought in a million years this is what I would be doing. But, when I left that corporate career, I opened a restaurant and I came into my own spirituality during that time because I had faith that everything would work out. Aren't you afraid? I don't need to be. Everybody's afraid for me. And so, living in my power and making it happen allowed me to have a spiritual awakening. And then one day I just said, what is my purpose? Why am I here? And within a very short amount of time, I found this wonderful woman named Dolores Cannon and her work. And when I found her work, I said, this resonates with me. So 40 years she regressed people and she has 18 books of knowledge from everything that's ever happened in any of those sessions. And it was fascinating to me. And I said, I need to do this. So I went and had my own session done and it was transformative. It was amazing. And from there I said, can I do this? And my practitioner said, you'd be really great. And I've never looked back. It's been 10 years of joy.
How do you find your calling, or how can this hypnosis help you find your calling? Because we all have a purpose in life, and sometimes it's hard to find it, and sometimes we never find it. How can we find our purpose or our calling?
We always tap into our higher energy. So I say that there's sand of energy in this body and there's an ocean of your energy outside of this body. So we're tapping into your energy that has all the healing, it has all the answers. So they know the answers. So sometimes on earth, you got to phone a friend, right? And say, hey, I need help. So we tap into that energy, and that energy wants you to live the best life ever, and so they'll tell you. I've had people come in and say, I want to change my career, but I'm afraid to do it for the money. I'm so comfortable where I am. They're told, no, it's time for you to change your career. And this is what you need to change it to. Sometimes they'll say, no, you're a healer. It's time for you to go into the healing arts. Sometimes they'll say, your purpose is just to live your best life. And other times they'll say, your purpose is as a musician is to spread your love through your art. Everybody's different. And so everybody has a reason and a purpose. Sometimes that purpose is just to live your best life. Other times it's to help others. And there's no right or wrong, which absolutely we always find out what the purpose is, you
Yeah.
know?
So, and how this QHHT, this kind of hypnosis, helps people in different ways.
People can be healed. Everyone's got a story, right? So childhood is hard. Earth is hard. I always say Earth is a school. So Earth is a hard school. So everyone's got a hard story. They had to overcome something. A lot of times that's childhood and parents, but it could be anything. But with that, the goal is to heal and move on. Okay. And those lessons were set up for us to learn something. Some people need to learn compassion, love, joy, self-love. The list goes on. And so you're set up with to learn these lessons. If you have overcome them, the hardship of them, and you've learned your lesson, then that doesn't need to take place in a QHHT session. But if you have not, then that is exactly what will happen. You will stop, you can release any emotion you don't need toward the people who taught you the lessons. In other words, I'm still angry at mom because she did blank and she always did blank. I'll give you a good example. I had this beautiful man, 70 years old, famous composer, goes all around the world with an orchestra. He never feels after every show, he never feels as if he did his best. And it turns out that mom told him every day when he was studying music, you could be better. It's good, son, but you could be better. It's good, son, but you could be better. She wasn't telling him he was bad. She thought she was telling him to strive for more, but he heard that he's not enough. And at 70 years old, he still feels like he could do better and doesn't have that self-esteem. So we got to release that energy, and he got to forgive mom for telling him that because she didn't mean it in a bad way. As a matter of fact, mom's energy came in directly and spoke to him. She's now passed and said, son, I never meant it that way. And he got to heal emotionally, let go of the guilt that he's not enough, and a weight was lifted off his shoulder. It's transformative. Healing is the number one reason. But there's things beyond heal. You can find out things about your past life that can help you grow. You can heal physically. We get ourselves physically sick from our emotional state. So if you're holding on to a lot of guilt or a lot of anger, it manifests in the body. You release that guilt and that anger, and that your pain goes away. I had this beautiful young woman. While she's in her 50s, she had pain for 30 years. Her father took her out on a boat, and the boat was choppy water, and it hurt her back. And for 30 years, her back hurt. For 30 years, her father said, it wasn't because of the boat. Well, she said, he's old. He's in his 80s. I need to forgive him. She came in. She forgave him. She said, Dad, I forgive you. I know you're never going to accept responsibility, but I'm tired of fighting it. She walked out of there pain-free. She hasn't had pain in 5 years. She let go of the guilt. She let go of the anger, right? So you can use it for physical healing, emotional healing, or just exploration. What is my purpose? Who have I been? Have I had past lives? That sort of thing.
Yeah. So you always talk, you have mentioned a few times that we are in the school, Earth School, right? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, definitely. So picture Harvard University, It's a really hard school. Everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to learn. Earth is that school. There's a big, long line of people wanting to come to Earth School. When you come to Earth School, you get incarnated into this human form and you have an experience. The hard thing about Earth is you don't remember who you are. We're these amazingly powerful beings that are very spiritually connected. And we forget that when we come to Earth on purpose because Earth is a hard school. So what happens is we set ourselves up for these lessons. All these people hurt us. I got my heart broken. I got my self-esteem traveled on. I got my trust broken. And so I have to now overcome all that. That sucks. Well, we do because that's the lesson we set ourselves up for. And there's an outcome for that lesson. So it isn't that we didn't come to Earth to be angry at mom and dad the rest of our lives. We came to Earth School to forgive them and move on and learn our lesson of whatever it was, you know? So here's another example. This beautiful woman came, she was going blind, and she said, I want to not go blind. I heard that I can be physically healed. And when it came time to talk to her subconscious and her higher power, I asked, can we heal her blindness? And they said, no. And I said, no, I know you can. You can heal anything. And they said, no, she is a nurse. She's a healer. She takes care of everybody, but she will not let anybody take care of herself. She has big walls around herself. And they said she needs to learn trust. And she's not learning it the easy way. So she's about to learn it the hard way. We're taking away her eyesight. Wow. And so she listens to the recording afterwards because you don't always remember, but I record the session. And afterwards, she called me and she said, I had no idea that I had those kind of trust issues. And I said, well, now you know why. Now you know why you're losing your eyesight. You're gonna have to trust those to take care of you. So she could either be angry over losing her eyesight, or she can now have perspective and say, now I understand why it's happening. And, and I can put it in perspective because really the goal is to learn trust. So you asked about school. There she is. She needs to learn trust. That was her lesson. And that's how she's learning.
Wow, it's amazing, right? And can anybody get hypnotized? Because I know that I had my doubts about myself because I normally kind of want to control everything, and I thought, is Brian going to hypnotize me, or I'm going to control him and he won't be able? And it happened.
You're still hypnotized. I've got you for the rest of your life. No, I'm kidding. So no, what's really amazing, Christina, is that everybody has this question, and it's a really good question. Once you daydream or once you sleep dream, you're naturally going into the state that I'm just relaxing you into. So I'm not taking anybody's control at all. So when you see those people and the guy says, you're now a chicken, and they act like a chicken, they volunteered to do that. So mentally they were letting him do that. But in reality, he can't take anybody's power. No one can do that. So everybody can go into this relaxed state. They do it naturally on their own. It's just that, do they trust somebody enough to help them to relax, to get to that state? And that's where that the trust comes in with the person that you're working with. And that's why we have a very long conversation in the beginning to develop trust and to understand each other. So absolutely. Everybody always leaves and says, I didn't think I'd be able to do that. But then they listen to themselves on the tape and they're like, wow, I've said this, I would this, I don't know where this came from. They knew this, they knew that. Yeah, it's powerful. It's great.
And I know that these sessions have to be done in person, but is it possible? Why in
Yeah.
person? And is it possible that eventually they can be done online?
Well, so why on person is there are several reasons. It's an energy exchange. So there's energy in the room when we're together. It's a trust exchange. So you want to be in that person's space. You want to see their body language. They want to see how they dress. You want to see what space you're in. You have to be relaxed. The other thing is that I did it one time over a Zoom with a man who was in Brussels and I was here and he fell asleep on me, Christina. I had, I was like, oh my God, wake up, wake up. Luckily I had a backup friend in the other room that went and woke him up. If we got disconnected, what would happen? So it's important to do it live. Uh, if 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 indeed no one's local, like so I'm down in Florida and I have people that come travel to see me, but people that can't, there's practitioners all around the world. I'm more than happy to give you the website so people can find the person in their area. It's very important that it's done live.
Okay. And How do you know that you're ready to do a session?
This is great. So people say to me, "What do you do?" And I'll say, "Oh, I'm a hypnotherapist." And they'll say, "Oh my God, I need to do that." But they're not ready unless they're really ready. And what that means is the more ready you are, the more it will naturally flow and the amount of information will be fantastic and literally transformative. You were ready. People like that woman that was ready to forgive her father because she didn't know she was going to get physically healed, but she just wanted to release the anger. When you're ready, you're sent. Like I always say, people are sent to me. I'll meet people and they'll say, "Oh, I want to do this." I've met plenty of people that'll say, I want to do this, but they won't call or they won't make the appointment. They're not ready, right? You're ready when your gut tells you you're ready. Your intuition will tell you when you're ready.
And how
When
can we,
it's time to release. It's absolutely time to release the anything you don't need energetically.
and things flow when you're ready? It's like it happens easily. It comes to you.
Yeah,
The therapist
yeah,
comes to you, the situation, the ways to make it happen, right? It happens. So walk
yeah.
us through a session. Let's do an example.
Sure. Sure. So, it was a quick phone call consult, which is free. We have this nice little conversation. Hey, what is your goal, Christina? I have anxiety. I can't sleep at night. I just want to I want to sleep, And so what I do is I tell people the process. And the process is that you would come, we'll have a nice 2-hour conversation. Again, that spa day for your soul. You get to talk about you. And we'll talk about your relationships, your parents, your upbringing, your children if you have them, your career if that's important to you, or anything that's happened that's important in life. Some people have had a near death experience. Some people have always seem to be injury prone. Some people have had their heart broken. We'll talk about the big instances. When it comes time to do the relaxation, they lie down and I just sit next to them and I just talk a little bit until they get to that nice relaxed state. Once they're in that relaxed state, which takes very little time, their subconscious will show them a memory. That memory can be anything, but the memory is chosen very specifically. So, in other words, you might have childhood memories. I had a client that was shown 6 childhood memories. 3 were hard memories and 3 were happy memories. Why did you show the client these 6 memories? Because he thinks his childhood was all bad. It wasn't all bad. It was a nice balance between the two. So they very cleverly will pick and I say they, but your subconscious will pick the memories. Now, if you believe in a past life, not everybody does, you might get a past life memory. If you believe on life on other planets, not everybody does, might get a life on other planet memory. Um, we all are in a human form, but we all have energy that's a soul. So a lot of times you'll get an out of body experience. So you're shown something, but whatever you're shown is then connected to. And I asked the subconscious directly, why did you show Christina? So in your case, you were for warriors, right? I'll let you tell your story, but you had a warrior background, a very strong male, masculine warrior background. Why did you show Christina these memories? And they told you, right? So it's important to know. So they showed this woman that she was burned at the stake, and because the people in town thought that she was a witch, right? And why did you show her this horrible memory of dying at the stake? And they said because in this life she lets everybody walk all over her children, her parents, her husband. She does not stand up for herself. She acts as if she has no self-esteem. She has so much self-esteem and she's such a proud woman that she was willing to die for her convictions and leave her family alone 150 years ago. So we want to remind her who she really is. This is who she is, that powerful warrior, that powerful prairie woman. She's not this wimpy woman that lets everybody walk all over her. So the past memory is shown or whether it's childhood or it's another life on purpose. Once that's done, you get to ask questions. This is exciting. Like what questions do you ask? Anything. What's my purpose? Am I on the right track? What's going on with my career? Is so and so the right person for me to love? I have this beautiful woman. She was 78 and her husband had died years ago. She said, "There's a nice guy down the street. Should I date him?" It doesn't matter. You can ask anything, and you can ask 1 to 50 questions. It really doesn't matter how many. Some people ask questions about, are past lives real? Are there really life on other planets? You can ask anything you want to. Uh, you know, the only thing you won't get an answer to is something that doesn't pertain to you. So if you can't say, why did mom and dad fight? But you can say, I'm mad at my sister. Is it important that we make up or not important that we make up because it's connected to you? And then the very last piece is the healing and that physical healing. And if there's any physical healing that can be done after emotions are released, absolutely they'll help you. Even if you're not carrying something emotionally, you have an injury from from basketball in 10th grade, they'll heal that for you. You know, it's transformative mentally, physically, psychologically. Lots of people leave like a weight has been lifted off of them, and they just can move on with their lives in a way, because we get stuck in these roadblocks, and that's what this does. This removes the blocks
Remove the
from
blocks.
the best knowledge possible, which is you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you cannot ask things about the future, right? Or can you? Or will I get sick? Or
You can
will I
ask
earn the
things about the
lottery? Or when will I die? Or will my brother or ever talk back to me? Or will I make up with? Or will I find, the best job?
right. Well, so the thing to remember about the future is that it's not set in stone. So if they said to you, this is going to happen in 10 days, um, 10 days from now, 10 other things might happen to knock that off course. So you can't ask about the future. You never can ask when you're going to die. They're never going to tell you. That's not something that's appropriate. But you can say, I feel like I need to move. Will I be living somewhere different in the next 10 years? Yes. Is there a place that I should be better to live? Yes, you should move to a warm climate. My sister, I haven't talked to her in 10 years. There's a family reunion coming up. So I would ask the question with their permission, is it appropriate for them to make up, or doesn't it matter? With siblings, sometimes the answer is, you know what, let them go. They'll never understand you. They're not important, to let it go. Other times they'll say, no, they're very important and you do need to let it go. I mean, you do need to reconcile. So the future's not set in stone. So no one's going to tell you that this is exactly what's going to happen, because you have free will. You can definitely get hints to the future. So in other words, you want to change your career. Yes, change your career. It's the right decision to make, right? What they will say is that, so for example, Christina says, I want to change my career, but I'm afraid of the money. They might say, you don't need to be afraid of the money. It's all going to work out. So you'll get that kind of glimpse into the future, but you won't be told you're going to make $1 million on Tuesday and marry the man of your dreams.
Oh, that would be so
Yeah, they
wonderful,
will love.
right?
They will say there is someone coming in your future.
Yeah.
With love, they'll tell you with love, there is somebody coming in your future. Sometimes they'll say within the next year. Sometimes they'll say it'll be some time, but they will tell you if a new love is coming. I had a person told that no love was coming.
Wow. Then you don't have to look for it because you know that's not happening, right? So
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
um,
It's so true.
yeah, I have guys, if you want to read about some Brian's experiences with his clients, he's discreet, obviously, but the stories are in Substract, right? And you can read some of the stories. I'm going to share some of the titles and see the first thing that happens, that the experience that the client had. Okay, so how can people find you in Substract?
So it's a Substack, Substack,
Substack,
substack.com.
Substack.
And we can put the link at the bottom, but substack.com. And then they look for Brian Crawford and they'll find me. It's just /@ So Substack /@ Brian Crawford. And we'll put the link down. But what's nice is I write about my client stories. Now you have to remember they're 3-hour to 4-hour sessions, and I'm writing a little 5-minute story, but I always try to give it the best nugget of information, right? And so someone got healing, someone got a past life, somebody got just really great information. So yeah, they're really great to read. All sorts of different experiences.
We will put all of this information, the link to his website, it's how to contact Brian, the Substack link in the description of the podcast, Spotify and YouTube. But let's go into this, and
Yeah.
I will we'll finish this conversation with a story, with my story with you. But
Your story is great.
Yeah, wow. I'm still like, I didn't even read it yet. And I read it. I didn't have to listen to a recording. I wasn't ready yet, but it was so clear in me what I had to remember that I still remember, although I was hypnotized. Very amazing. Okay, let me give you some titles and just tell me what the client experienced. Experiencing pure love.
Oh, so, oftentimes when people have a really hard time in their childhood or a really hard time with their parents, they learn unconditional love. And so this particular person no longer talked to his family. He's estranged from them. He hasn't talked to mom or dad in any of his adult life. And he was taken. Remember, I said sometimes you can go to a past life. He was taken to an out of body experience where he felt as energy the most amazing power of love and peace. And as he's in this space of love, and he said, I'm just overwhelmed with love. And he said, there are 1,000 people in the room. I'm just looking and I'm seeing people, and I'm being told that all of these people are the lives that I have touched in all the years that I've been alive, all the many lifetimes that I have lived. I've touched all of these lives. He said, I never knew I was that powerful. I never knew I was that loved. He said that the amount of love I'm receiving right now, I've never experienced. I couldn't even fathom it. And it was just tears were rolling. It was so beautiful. We don't realize how many people we touch and how loved we really are. Sometimes we look for it in the people that don't love us. That's not where we're supposed to be looking.
No, no, exactly, exactly. Da, 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 da. Another one. I feel I'm not from Earth.
Yeah. So I have lots of people that'll say, you know what? I don't get this whole Earth thing. It's really kind of crappy. It's hard. It's not a lot of fun. Like, what am I doing here? And so I say, what's interesting is sometimes these people have more than one thing, right? So Earth is a school. Everybody gets to be in a human body, and you have to learn something. In that case of the woman, she had to learn trust. But sometimes people are also here to impart their knowledge to humanity. In other words, they're here to help raise the vibration. They're here to help with the overall of humanity. Sometimes that could be an artist that writes a song. Sometimes that could be an artist that paints a picture, a man that builds a building, a woman that flies a plane like Amelia Earhart, like somebody that inspires. Other times, it's just the person next door that has always got a smile on their face and there to help somebody. But the point is that they have a dual role. They're here to help themselves, but they're also here to learn something, but they're also here to help others. And oftentimes the people that have the hardest time with Earth School are here to also help do something different. And it feels like the Earth stuff gets in the way. And there's lots of people like that. Beautiful
Yeah,
souls.
beautiful. Okay. So anyway, there are so many, the titles in your stories are amazing. Like releasing guilt, I regret I never had a family, I feel I'm not from Earth, I love I am enough, my purpose on Earth is what, Earth School is not for wimps. I love that. So anyway, just what people experience. So I encourage you to read some of these stories and it really helped me. So now let me share my story. Brian, what is the thing that impacted or will surprise you in the story that when you hypnotized me, what came up?
So you have a blog that's written there, and your title is First Time in a Woman's Body. Do you remember what we talked about?
I would have.
So, you were amazing. So sometimes people will say, I feel like I've never been on Earth before. So you can have the first time at Earth experience. You've been on Earth many, many times in many, many lives, but never as a female, right?
Yeah.
Every time you were incarnated, it was a powerful, strong warrior. You are a fighter. You're that big, strong, powerful guy that protects and kills and conquers. And this time around, your soul said, "Hey, okay, I'm ready to find out what it's like to be the opposite gender." And so you came into this incarnation as Christina, and you were surrounded by a bunch of powerful men, right? And you said, "This sucks. Like, well, all these men are crazy, and what is this? Why I'm not less than just because I'm a woman? And so you had to fight all, and you put yourself in a Spanish culture, talk about crossing cultures. And so you had to prove yourself as a woman. You put yourself in a timeline that, that you had to fight as a woman. And so, and you're doing pretty darn well at it, aren't you? You learned some lessons along the way. It took you a while to accept your body, right? You've had some rejections. You had the fact that I don't want to get personal, but there were things that happened with you. You're like, no, I reject this. I reject this because you were so used to subconsciously not being female. So now that you know that you're having this role because you wanted to have this experience, and here you are, this beautiful, powerful female, what's it like now that you have perspective on
Well,
on what happened and who you are?
I didn't know what to expect really when I did it. I thought he's not going to hypnotize me, that's for sure, right? And you did. And I still remember everything. So it was like I was in between, but it was very powerful because I had to remember it. And I will listen to a recording eventually because I want to know more details when I'm ready. But I remember it all in general, right? What surprised me the most was that I was always a male in other lives, 3 lives. I never had an idea. But in this life as a woman, I had health issues with all my female organs because I wasn't embracing me being a
All of
female. And I was always fighting, like life on earth is a fight, because I was a warrior and I was always in the war. And it's like, no, I don't have to fight. I can be myself. I can be a woman. I love my body. I love myself. I know what I'm here to do. It never was like that before. And the other thing is that I had some issues
Yeah.
with that unresolved that were there with my, like late brother, with my parents, like he was mentally ill. It was really hard they're all gone now, right? And I have a brother, like he's resentful. And, when we went through that and they're not on this planet anymore, Earth, I realized that they came here as a role, but it doesn't exist anymore. They did what they had to do, and I had learned what I had to learn. But it's not who they were. They had that role. For the one that was mentally ill, it was harder. For us, it was hard too because we were also victims. But, it's not what it is after all. It was just that time on earth. I don't carry the guilt. I don't carry the blame. They don't carry it. I just felt their love
Mm.
because they are not on earth anymore. They're powerful forces of energy. Energy is
Yeah.
full of love. So that's kind of my experience.
And all the energy, yeah, all the energy that's on the other side is nothing but love. And they were able to come in for you and tell you that, Christina, this is what you wanted. You wanted to learn the hard way. So we showed you some tough love. But look at you. You're beautiful and powerful, and we love you. And you made it and you did it. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's
And I found my
yeah.
purpose with this podcast because it's the way of bringing people's stories and connecting people with the experience that my guests have, like you have, and your beautiful you. So anyway, thank you, Brian, so much. We're going to put your information here. How many times should people do it, the regression?
It's designed to be one time for major healing if there's healing that needs to take place. I do have multiple clients that come back multiple times if they want to do exploration work. In other words, the healing will be one session and there's no time limit. So you could be there 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it takes. Beyond that, I've got people that come back all the time. Those are people that are more exploring their purpose in a different way. They've learned that they're here to do a dual role, and so they're more getting information about that. But the healing from Earth and the relationships that we've had, those will all be, and any kind of physical healing, that can all be accomplished in one session.
And so give us your website. We'll put it here under the description, but give us your website so that it's a beautiful website and it's very clear. All the information is there if you want to connect with Brian and read some more stories about what he does and his clients' experiences.
I appreciate that. It's Soul Sync Healing, so SOUL with a hyphen, sync, SYNC, soul-sync healing.com. Yeah. And
Okay.
so it's beautiful. And like you said, all the information is there. You can go to soul-synchealing.com and get me directly. I will absolutely answer you directly. And if you watch the Substack, Christina's going to put the place I write the blog for you to read stories, just transformative. And I'm just going to say this as an aside. Even if you don't think you need, let's say you don't have anxiety, you're healed from your childhood, you're not curious. I had a guy that just said, "I lost a box of gold coins. Can you help me find them?" We found them. But along the way, he also didn't realize that he was harboring guilt from his first marriage on the woman he cheated on her. So he was able to release that guilt. She had moved on. She no longer feels angry. And by the way, his second wife, who's cheating on him, stole the gold. So you never know what
Wow.
you're going to find out.
Yeah. The detective there in you, right?
Yeah.
Connect tells you what you need to know. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Brian. This was amazing. Guys, I really, really recommend it. I did it. It helped me really so much, and it was so much fun. And Brian knows how to listen and guide you and make you feel in a safe way. We're not getting any money, any payment for this, not he nor me. It's just like I'm sharing this because I believe in it. My only interest is to communicate and offer you guys something that can be useful for you. And if you don't think so, at least I hope you'll have fun with these amazing stories and this great person. So thank you,
Well,
Brian.
thank you. No, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. What an
Thank
honor.
you.
Always. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
And don't forget to follow us in YouTube and in Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify in Crossing Cultures with Christina Luna for more stories every week for all of you.